Thank you all for joining us. This is Mindset Pitfalls Holiday Edition, Part 2. I'm Certified Health Coach Jessee Baldwin.
And I am Certified Health Coach Mikaela O'Brien.
And we're your hosts this evening. And although we are coaches and health coaches, we want to say that we are in no way affiliated with or represent the Beck Institute or the Diet Trap Solution. So this is another exciting evening for you. Last week, we learned about the top 10 strategies to help move you forward in your health. And what are we going to be going over today, Mikaela?
So for today, we are going to be talking specifically about holiday eating traps. There are 9 holiday eating traps that we're going to be talking about. So as we go through them, really pay attention to the ones that stand out to you. Go ahead and flag them, circle them, write them down. And then at the end of that, we're going to talk about how to create your escape plan. So we want you to pick one of the 7 that we go through, and we're going to walk through how to create an escape plan for that specific holiday eating trap. And then we're going to have a special guest with us, Dagmar Maxwell. She's going to join us and share a little bit about her story. And then she's actually we're going to create an escape plan with her for one of her major holiday eating traps. So the next thing is the book that we're going through is called The Diet Trap Solution. If you haven't bought it yet, we recommend you get it. It's not required, but we do recommend you get it because it's great to follow along with it. You know, everything we're talking about is from this book. And the quiz that we talked about last week is on page 19. I still recommend you take that quiz if you haven't yet, because it's going to tell you specifically which traps are your biggest traps. And we're going to be covering the next 7 traps over the next 4 weeks. So if you know which ones are your biggest traps, you can really pay attention to those ones specifically.
All right, so a couple months ago, I was in this little tiny room inside of a church preparing a little speech for an event that I had that day. And it was small, and I'm kind of claustrophobic. And so I was just kind of sitting there looking around at everything. And then I thought, you know what? This little tiny room is a lot like escape rooms. And you know, escape rooms, they're doing TV shows about them now. You get into a room with a bunch of people and they lock you inside. And then you've got to figure out a series of puzzles. Maybe you got to push a button or turn a knob in order to get out. I was thinking, this is a great analogy. An escape room, it feels just like how it is when you enter one of your eating traps, and you're like, if you're not prepared, and you got to figure out how to get out of it. And so tonight, we're going to get down to business. We're going to give you your escape plan, teach you how to formulate an escape plan for yourself, for whatever situation you find yourself in. And so I hope you brought a piece of paper and a pen. If not, go grab one real quick, and some index cards, because we're going to get right down to it. And so tonight, one of the first things we want to cover is sabotaging thoughts. This is an important piece of what we do. And so in any given situation, you have sabotaging thoughts that talk you into something that is unhealthy or not in alliance with your program. So sabotaging thoughts are just ideas. They're not necessarily truth. They can be self-deceiving, and they can be seductive even. I'll give you a personal example for myself. This last Sunday night, my church held its annual pie auction. It's a fundraiser for the church school. And so I went in there and I scoped out the pie and cookie table. I mean, why not? Okay, that was mistake number 1. And then I looked and I saw something I really wanted to get. And so I'm sitting there looking at it, and I think to myself, sabotaging thought number 1, this is for charity. It's a good cause. Okay, that's a sabotaging thought. Number 2, I think to myself, I'll get it, and only the kids are going to eat it. Yeah, that mistake number 2. So anyway, if I had gone into this situation, because I know it's coming, the church does it every year, with an escape plan, I wouldn't have succumbed to that. And of course, I used my adorable little 8-year-old to bid on it, and no one bid against her. And of course, I got it. And so anyway, I'm on day 2 of my program now.
That's funny. Okay, so that's a good example. So going through these holiday traps, like I said, there's 7 of them. So the first one is the YOLO trap. This is you only live once, okay? So this is basically where you use holidays as an excuse to eat whatever you want. So it doesn't even necessarily need to be Thanksgiving or a holiday. It can be any special event or wedding or something coming up. You only live once, you know, we go for it. We eat whatever we want because of it. And then, so I know this trap, this is a big one. A lot of people struggle with this one. So we're actually going to do a poll to see how many of you guys flagged this one, because I'm curious to see how many people in our room struggle with this particular trap. So the question is, have you ever had the sabotaging thought, oh, people are at 3 already. It's a special party, day, holiday, so it's okay to indulge. So go ahead and take a couple seconds. I'm curious. That's what I was thinking, is we'd lean more towards the yeses. A couple more seconds if you haven't answered this one yet. Okay, Jess, you can go ahead and bring up the results, even though we can see it already. Okay, so 88% of the people here say, yes, I've had these thoughts, right? It's so easy to say, you only live once, let's just go for it.
Okay, so the next one is wall-to-wall treats. I'll use the example if you're in an office setting and you go to work and vendors bring in treats, and people bake in the office too, and they're in the office kitchen, they're overflowing onto your desk, they're on the secretary's desk, they're everywhere because it's holiday time.
Okay, so the third one is fit in foodie. So this one is where you tell yourself it's okay to indulge because everybody's eating it. This is kind of a peer pressure one. You go somewhere, a social situation, and everybody's eating bad, so you kind of want to fit in, or everybody's eating that specific thing, so you want to be able to eat it too. Oh, actually, we have a survey, or we have a poll for this one too. So the question is, do you feel pressured to eat what others are eating in social settings? 3 options here: always, sometimes, and rarely. Oh, I love it. That's actually what I was thinking, is the majority of people would go for sometimes. Sometimes we can say no, sometimes we can't. 64%, right in the middle sometimes. Awesome. To get this poll off my screen. Okay.
All right, so next is before the big day. That's a big trap, okay? We're going to use Thanksgiving as an example since it is in 2 days. And so before Thanksgiving, what happens? You've got to prep a lot of food, even a couple days before Thanksgiving. Like today, I prepped my croutons for my stuffing. So cut the sourdough up, baked it on warm, take some time, right? A lot of things that happen with prep is also tasting, because you got to know, is that gravy seasoned just right? And so the problem with this is a sabotaging thought that happens often is, I already know that I'm going to overdo it on Thanksgiving, so I might as well start now. Problem is, 1 day of holiday overeating turns into 2.
Very true. Okay, so another trap is the big day. So if you struggle with, oh, the big day is here, I want to be able to have whatever I want, this kind of fits in with the YOLO one too. But specifically, the big day. Thanksgiving is here. I want to eat the turkey. I want to eat the gravy. I want to eat the gravy. The gravy. I want to eat whatever it is. If that's you, flag that one.
Okay, next. Wow, look at all those leftovers. Yes, post-holiday trap. Okay, so this is a big one for me. A common sabotaging thought that goes with this is, the faster I eat the leftovers, the sooner I can get back on my program. So the problem with this trap is it keeps you from getting back on track.
Okay, so the last one is the perfectionista trap. So this one, just like in this picture, everything has to be perfect. You've planned it out perfectly. Your cooking, the way it looks, your presentation, everything has to be absolutely perfect. And because of that, we're so focused on making this the perfect holiday that we start neglecting our own program. Maybe we didn't go for a morning walk, or we're not getting in all of our water, or we're not even eating our food because we're so focused on making this perfect. Okay, so how to create an escape plan. So the first thing I'm going to do is get your piece of paper out and a pen or pencil. I have that ready. We are going to use index cards in just a second, but for now, we're going to start with the paper. And then the first thing is to specify the trap. So which one of those 7 traps that we just discussed really resonates with you? Which one do you think is your biggest struggle? Go ahead and write that down on your paper.
All right, once you've identified a trap, describe a specific situation within that trap that might happen. It can be a situation that happened in the past. It can be one that you're anticipating. We want you to participate actively and write these things down so you can create your escape plan right here, right now. I'll give you an example. So let's say I pick the wall-to-wall treats app, track, not app, an app for a track. Anyway, all right, wall-to-wall treats track. I find people, it's okay. Anyway, it's those cookies that I had from the auction. So let's say that Karen in the office went on a baking frenzy the night before, and she brings in sugar cookie cutouts, and those are your favorite. And she knew that, and they're amazing. I mean, they got that nice icing glaze on it that's just slightly hard, but when you tap on it, it cracks a little bit. It's got the little silver bullet, BB things. I don't know what those things are, but they break my teeth, and they're good. And they're in the shape of Santa Claus and Rudolph and snowflakes and candy canes. And oh my, that's a big temptation. That's a specific thing. So identify the trap first, and then write down a specific situation that might arise.
That was very specific. Thank you for that analogy. Okay, so around that specific situation, let's think of some sabotaging thoughts that happen. So with this example, this is a good one. What do you think when you walk in and you see all those things? The first thing that comes to mind are usually sabotaging thoughts. So maybe one is, oh, it's just one, it won't matter. Or I deserve this, I've had a really hard day. Or maybe even Karen knows these are my favorites, so she would be offended if I didn't have one. So these aren't necessarily truths. These can be lies. These can be just excuses that we're telling ourselves to give ourselves permission to come off plan. So go ahead and think of one or think of a couple that are specific to your situation, and go ahead and write those down.
So the next step, this is part of our strategies we're going to be getting to, is to write a compelling response card to each sabotaging thought. So this is a way for you to counteract that sabotaging thought with some truth. As we spoke of in the first webinar, it's a way for you to give your future self a leg up, give a tip to yourself, because we're going to use these later on. And so let's go over a sabotaging thought using Karen as an example again. So let's say the sabotaging thought around the sugar cookies in the office is, Karen knows that these are my favorite, and she'll be offended if I didn't have one. Yeah, that's a pretty good sabotaging thought. So a response card that you could write to that might look like, when I turn down my friend's dessert, she may be a little disappointed for a little while, but she'll get over it. If I give in, I'll have many, many negative consequences, so it's worth it to stand firm. Another sabotaging thought response could be, every decision matters. If I choose to make an exception, I'll strengthen my giving in muscle and weaken my resistance muscle. And it will get harder and harder to avoid exceptions in the future. Every time matters. So go ahead and take a moment, if you can, to write down a response. This takes a little bit of thought. If you're having trouble, you can stay on afterwards in the debrief, and the coaches will help you create some responses to your sabotaging thoughts.
Okay, so the next step of our escape plan is to develop a list of strategies. I like this one. So the first one is to write down or to bring out your top 10 advantages list. This is something that we talked about last week. So if you have your list of goals, your top advantages that you have, take that out and read it. Maybe even read it in the morning, every morning. I'd love for you to read it every morning. So you have these fresh on your mind and you know what you're working toward. The next strategy is your response cards. So these are specific to your traps, right? So before you go into a situation where you know you may be struggling with something, read your response cards before you leave. Keep them in your pocket, keep them in your purse, or even read them there while you're there. Run to the bathroom and read them. Get yourself squared away before you come off plan. But keep these with you because these are great. The third one is to make a holiday advantages list. I love this one because this is specific to whatever event you're going to, or maybe the holiday season in general. And in the book, on page 152 and 153, they actually have a holiday advantages list. And I love this because, again, these are goals, these are advantages that you want to reach at the end of the holiday season. So it's a great way to put the holidays in perspective. So I'm going to read you just a few of them. So on page 152, a couple of these are, I don't naturally lose extra holiday weight anymore. If I gain weight this year, I will have to put in major effort to lose it. That's a big one. I don't lose weight easy, so I'm going to be gaining it and I have to lose it again. Another one is, I won't have to worry about getting back on track in January. So how awesome would that be to get through the holidays on your plan, to keep moving forward? January rolls around and you don't have to start over again. Another one is, I won't be at the mercy of cravings every time I see holiday treats, because you're strong, you're doing well in your program. So that's a really good one. Another one, all my clothes will continue to fit through the holidays and into the new year. I love this one because, right, every time we go to a party, every time we have an event and we go off plan, our clothes are getting tighter and tighter, and who wants to whip out their fat jeans because we've gone through the holiday season eating everything? I don't want my fat jeans. I want my skinny jeans at the end of the holiday season. Okay, the last one is I won't undo all my good work from the rest of the year. So if we've been good all year round and we're eating well, who wants to derail themselves the last couple months of the year? So let's stay focused and let's make a list of advantages to get through the season. And then the last one is to create a list of distractions. So this can be anything, like maybe you have an iPad or a phone with you to distract you. Maybe if you're at a Thanksgiving or a family function, maybe walk away from the table and go find another group of people somewhere else to go chat with. Maybe, again, if you're at a family party, you can whip out a game and you guys can sit down and play a game. Just anything to distract yourself from the food. Keep yourself busy.
All right, and the next one is to review your escape plan often. So that's going through your list of strategies, maybe the morning of, before you're heading into the particular trap. It can mean taking your response cards with you into the event in trap. And you got to be flexible with this. So as you enter a situation, you might have new sabotaging thoughts come in that you didn't even anticipate, because our minds are like that. They're going to talk us into just about anything. So learn to be flexible and revise your escape plan as needed.
So that is the seventh one, actually, is after you go through this specific trap, go back and look at it and say, what worked, what didn't work, what should I change? Maybe, like Jessee said, you had some extra sabotaging thoughts that you hadn't even thought of. Write those down and write some new compelling responses, some new response cards for those, and keep your escape plan current. We want this to be what you're actually dealing with when you go into these kind of events.
All right, here comes my favorite part of the evening. We have a featured story. So my client, Dagmar Maxwell, has done great on her journey, and she is willing to come on and share with us some personal testimonials here. She's going to tell us what traps she identifies with most. She's going to give us specific situations, and she's going to share her sabotaging thoughts with us. And what's neat is Coach Mikaela and myself, we are going to create her escape plan live right in front of your eyes so you get a better idea of how this is done. And like I said, stay on afterwards and we can help you do the same. So Dagmar, are you there?
I'm right here. Hi.
Hi. So Dagmar, I want you to give us a little bit of a recap of your journey so far. Explain that photo that's on the screen for the folks listening.
Well, I've been overweight my whole life, and about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes, and I was taking seven shots of insulin every single day. I wasn't able to walk. It was really, really bad. I had to quit working. And I met my health coach, Jessee, and I've been on this plan, and I love it. I've lost 54 pounds so far, and I was able to walk a 5K on my 40th birthday, and that's the picture there. And I was the last one there, but I still did it.
I love it. That is a great victorious story, Dagmar, and I know you're going to keep continuing. And so let's go over for you your escape plan. So number one, first step is to specify the trap. So which of the 7 holiday traps we went over stood out most to you?
The YOLO, that you only live once.
Okay, great one. I think hit most of us in the poll. So now describe a specific situation that might happen within that.
Well, for my 40th birthday, I got 3 cakes, and I ate them all.
Okay. All right. Thank you for being honest with us. And so you're describing a situation that already happened. That's great, because we're going to need to create an escape plan. You might find yourself in this situation again at future birthday parties. I believe we even have a graphic to show you this. All right. So don't anyone start licking your lips yet. This is just a picture. All right. So you described a specific situation. It was your 40th birthday. You were given 3 cakes. All right. And you ate them all. You had to probably have some sabotaging thoughts behind this. Would you share 1 or 2 of them with us?
My sabotaging thought was, it's my 40th birthday, I deserve it. And then another one was, I don't care, it's my birthday, I'm going to eat them all.
Okay, those are great. Let's tackle the first one. It's my birthday and I deserve this. So the point is to take out your index card and write a compelling response to this to counteract it, to help yourself when the situation arises again. So what could you come up with, Dagmar, to counteract that sabotaging thought?
I came up with that instead of deserving 3 cakes, I deserve even more than just the 3 cakes. I deserve to celebrate more birthdays. And by only eating 1 slice and moving forward in my health journey, that's a better decision.
I love that. I love that. So that is something you could have on a card and you could walk into the next birthday party with and say, no, I deserve to celebrate more birthdays and move forward in my health. And another one you could add, Dagmar, if I may, is also you deserve to be free from diabetes. You've done so well with that. So that's another great response card. Okay, so let's tackle the other one. It's my birthday and I'll eat cake if I want to. All right, so that one, I like that one. Everyone has that one. So what's a compelling response you could write to that?
Instead of thinking that instead of thinking that I don't care because it's my birthday, I'm going to remind myself that while I feel like it's true at the moment, I'm going to care later. And I can't let this one moment of not caring control my actions.
Absolutely. I love that. So you're absolutely right. Feelings can be fickle. You might not care in that moment, but later on, you're absolutely going to. You're going to care when blood sugar levels spike and things like that. And when, you gain weight that you work so hard to get off. So thank you for sharing that. And now we got time. So I'm going to let Coach Mikaela walk you through another situation.
Okay. So what would be another situation if you find yourself in?
I would say Thanksgiving Day. It's just 2 days away. And my usual situation is I wait all year to eat whatever I want on Thanksgiving Day.
Okay, so this is the big day trap that we're in. Okay, Thanksgiving Day. So you find yourself on Thanksgiving Day. What are your sabotaging thoughts around Thanksgiving?
It's only 1 day. I don't want to be rude and not eat what, my mother-in-law has made. And it can't hurt me. It's just 1 day.
Okay, so I heard 2 thoughts in there. The first one is, it's only 1 day. It can't hurt me, right? And the second one is, it would be rude not to eat what somebody's made for me. Okay, so let's tackle the first one first. If it's only 1 day, 1 day a year, what would be something you could say to counteract, because it is 1 day, but then there's all these other days, Christmas and New Year's and Easter. So what is something you could say to yourself?
Holiday calories are calories. Anything extra that I eat, I'm going to gain weight. And, it's not okay just because it's holiday, because my goal is to lose weight, not to keep gaining or get my sugars to go through the roof.
So you're telling me the holiday calories are the same as all other calories? They're not magic holiday calories? That's too bad. I know we all wish that they don't count on holidays, but they do count on holidays. Okay, so you're saying our bodies don't know the difference, right? We're eating extra calories that aren't on our plan. It's going to affect our weight. It's going to affect our plan, regardless if it's a holiday or not. Right. Okay, that's good. I love that. So something you can add to that too is that you're not going to regret the food you don't eat, but you will regret the food you do eat if it's not on your plan, right?
Right.
Okay, I love those. Those are really good. So your other sabotaging thought you had was it would be rude to not eat what was prepared for me. Is that right? Okay. So for this one, because this is one with you and somebody else, we actually have a really great tool for this one. It's called the cost analysis, and it is in the book. Let me bring my book up. It's on page 97 of the book. And basically what the cost analysis is it's a comparison between what the cost would be to your mother-in-law to turn down her cooking, what would happen with her, versus what the cost would be to you for you to eat the food and go off plan. So let's start with your mother-in-law. What would the cost be to your mother-in-law if you decided to turn down her food and stay on your plan?
She might get a little offended, but she's going to get over it. She might be like, oh, okay. No big deal.
Okay. So she might be a little bit hurt, but she understands what you're doing, and she'd be okay. She'd get over it. Yeah. Okay. So what would happen with you if you decided to go for it and eat everything she made for you to not be rude? What would happen with your goals and your health?
My sugars would go through the roof. My weight would go up. I wouldn't feel well, and I'd have to reset my body into back on plan. So it would just be a lot harder.
Okay. So there's a lot of things connected with that. With you gaining weight, coming off your program, having to restart, not feeling well physically or even mentally, right? Because then we beat ourselves up when we come off plan. So there's a lot of costs associated with you trying to please somebody else if they're, trying to offer something and we're trying to be nice there. So what is a response you could write to yourself to weigh these two things, the cost of your mother-in-law, turning down her food versus the cost of you staying on your plan or giving in?
When I turn down the dessert or the food that's not on plan, I might get my mother-in-law a little bit miffed, but in the long run, I'm gonna have more negative things happen to my body and to my mind if I do fall into that trap than if I just say, nope, I'm okay, thank you, and then she'll get over it.
Okay, awesome. That's fantastic. So that's a good tool we can use, and that actually goes right into the next strategy here is you can use that as one of your strategies. And I forgot to bring up our slide here. So this was our situation, and this is a good example of our table for eating. So one thing, the next thing to cover is your list of strategies. And there's a lot of great strategies that we did talk about, from reading your top 10 list, like we talked about earlier, going through your response cards, even going through this cost analysis that we just did. We can do these in a lot of different situations. So even writing down, making your own chart, and being able to compare. There's one thing on her side, and there's like 100 things over here on my side, The other strategies are to create a list of distractions like we talked about. What would be a couple good distractions for you for Thanksgiving?
Going for a walk.
Okay.
I'm going to do a 5K on Thanksgiving morning to get me started right.
Oh, good. That's awesome.
And going for a walk, or maybe calling my family members that are far away, just talking to them and saying Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Playing a game.
Good. Perfect. All right. Well, that's good. And then come back to this plan, right? So we've made a plan. You have your event, and then let's go back and see what things we can add to it.
I love that. Thank you, Dagmar, for coming on and sharing, your sabotaging thoughts and allowing us to create an escape plan for you. And I can't wait to check back with Dagmar in our follow-up in January. So this concludes our webinar tonight. Let's look ahead and see what we have coming next week. So next week, it is stress traps. Like, who doesn't have stress? You don't want to miss this one. And also food pusher traps. I think Dagmar's little situation there was a little bit into food pushing. She was caring what other people thought. There's a whole lot of things under the umbrella of food pushers. And so we're going back to Thursday nights. And so next Thursday, November 30th, same time, we hope you'll join us. And at this time, if you want to stay on for a debrief, ask any questions of us that came up. We'd love to talk with you, help you identify sabotaging thoughts, or write compelling response cards, or just give us feedback about the webinar and how it's going to help you this holiday season. And I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to anyone who's watching the recording.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right, and I'm